I am rockin' with B-Rock.
I'm rocking with B-Rock.
I'm rocking with B-Rock.
Kirsty and I are rocking with B-Rock.
We're rocking with B-Rock!
We
We are Shotgun Superstars. We're rocking with B-Rock.
I'm Chrissy.
And I'm Jim. And we're rocking with B-Rock.
Rocking with B-Rock!
We are Asphalt Valentine, and you are rocking with B-Rock.
Rocking with B-Rock! Ready to rock with B-Rock!
Hey, this is Paul Liddell from Dangerous Toys and Dirty Looks, and I'm rocking with B-Rock.
With B-Rock!
I'm rocking with B-Rock.
With B-Rock, and I'm looking forward to fight.
Hey, it's Jeff from American Jet Set, and you're rocking with B-Rock. Because you're smart. You got good taste.
What's up? How we doing? A little unprepared today, trying to get this going up over. Well, welcome. Thursday, another show. Got Jason Cornwell in. I see him right there. I'll just bring him on. Screw it. Let's get this. Let's get him in here. He's better looking than I am. He's got way better hair than I got. I can't hear you. Why can't I hear you?
Hey, sorry, I was muted.
Oh, there we go. All right, Jason Cornwell, unmuted, badass hair. What's up?
I should know this by now. I mean, I do Zoom calls like since the pandemic. It's been like Zoom everything. So of course,
Dude.
The one time we do this thing together. Well, the second time I'm muted. So sorry, I'm here, ready to go.
It's good. I mean, I have done this so many times, and I mute myself. I'll start talking. People are like, "Can't hear you, dumbass," and it's like, okay, you know. But what's up? How we been doing?
Doing great. We just got back from a few tour dates. Well, I mean, just two. So just a little mini micro tour. We, kicked it off with the whiskey and in West Hollywood, the legendary whiskey. And then we did Vamped in Vegas, which is another one of my favorite places. So those shows were killer. It's kind of funny, usually it always seems like the tours kind of end up there, but we started there this time. So we kind of just kind of went for it, just out of the gate.
Right. It's usually everybody gets their legs, get the kinks worked out, and then go play the whiskey to finalize everything.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys said, you know what, we're that badass. We're just we're gonna blow your socks off. Bam, do it.
Yeah, well, we initially scheduled it around NAMM because it was like NAMM was coming back, after COVID finally, and it was going to be in June, which I thought was kind of cool because they weren't going to have Nashville NAMM, and they didn't have the winter, so they're just kind of like intermingling the two. But unfortunately, NAMM was cool, but it wasn't like a huge thing. It was really, really low key. So I went there for Sunday. We kind of tried to plan the whiskey to kick off the tour, and then vamped around it. Still had a fantastic turnout. Everybody can't wait to blast, but it was just NAMM was not as good as it used to be. So it was good, but not a lot.
I think I can't remember if it was you I saw post that or somebody else I saw post that, but they're just like, NAMM isn't what it normally is. I mean,
yeah, I posted, not the NAMM that I remembered,
Right. That's what I saw. And I was like, huh. And
I
people
think
look forward to this.
A lot of my good friends, like PV, people at PV and Gibson and Fender and stuff like that, they kind of got accustomed, I think, to doing like a lot of the online business. I mean, business was really, really up for the whole entire industry. People learning how to play instruments, people taking lessons online, all kinds of stuff like that. And so sales were great. It's I almost felt like they didn't have to, and it was a huge effort just to do it. But, next, it's back, it's moving to April, so it's not quite to January. And then the following year, 2024, it'll be back to that second or third week of January. They always kind of fluctuate between those two. It's either the second or third, depending on however it works out.
Right.
But
I've never been to one. I don't really know what it's all about. People tell me, "Hey, man, you got to go," and I just have never been there.
Yeah, especially with Westbound, we've had like a huge involvement. Not so much myself, but Chaz has been involved with Brian Tishy, who played in the Record tour with us, with the Randy Rhoads Remembered and the Bonzo Bash, which is going to have been like a staple. Those were back-to-back events that took place, at a theater in Santa Ana, as well as prior to that, a large venue in Anaheim. So those have always been a real staple. And actually, both those events toured at one point too. I remember, going to, see Chaz and those guys in New York City. Saw them in, the Providence area. I mean, so that's really been a big event. So that kind of started there. And I mean, they even did it on like a cruise at one point. So it's amazing, like a lot of the stuff that goes on and a lot of the deals and transactions that actually happen at NAMM, and it's, relationships that I've built just from going with, people that run PV, Fender and Gibson. I mean, they become my good friends. So it was good to be back there, and I'm looking forward to, the future now that we got this COVID, knock on wood, behind our back.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, and look who decided to show up. It's that lead singer thing. They got to make that kick-ass entrance. They boom. So
it's there he is.
Ding ding.
It's kind of like James Brown. James Brown, he always had like a guy come out and warm up the show, and then finally James would come out and it would just blow off. That's how we work it.
Right.
Got to make a proper entrance.
Sorry,
guys.
Gotta be here. Gotta say, hey,
what's happening?
What's happening? How you been?
I'm all right. How you been?
I've been good.
Good. Looking forward to getting back on the road again. We broke the ice last week in LA and here in LA and in Vegas. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. And I guess the next show was with you.
With me, baby.
Mike.
Kick it off, baby, and let's do this.
All right, Mike.
I couldn't believe. All right, backstory. I was putting something on. I'm doing a benefit for my buddy who's got stage 4. And
I know.
As of yesterday, really not doing well at all. Kind of going backwards and kind of not backwards, but not responding to the treatments. It's so progressed, and it's just boom.
Stage 4. Is it stage 4?
Yeah. So. And he was diagnosed with stage 4. We did this before back in October.
Oh, wow.
Or November. And, when I first found out, I think it was October 5th. And I said, we're going to do a benefit. We have to. And so I put like Native Sons, Asphalt Valentines, Shotgun Superstars, and a local band, Made in America here. And put them on. We raised about 10 grand. I think I put 3,000 into it. So I put 3,000 in to make 10. Perfect.
Very cool.
And I'm like, this is great. So, and it was a good success. Everybody had fun. And then we found out in March that he wasn't doing good again. And, disability hadn't kicked in. They were dicking him around on this, dicking him around on that. Financials were, I was like, all right, we're doing it again. So I think I don't remember if I put a post out or something like that. I said, maybe we're doing it again. And
right.
And immediately, it was immediately, Jason is like, what do you need? And I'm like, well, bands. And he's like, well, how about, do you want Westbound or he started naming off some bands. I'm like, let me tell you, or Between Worlds. And then I said, I'll tell you what, I can't afford Westbound. There's no way. I said, that would be my first choice.
Right.
And he's like, well, you got us. He goes, you want us? And he's like, Westbound, 8 Ball, Wild America. Wild America had a scheduling conflict with the drummer. But he basically gave me you Westbound and 8 Ball, and he named his price. I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. And he's like, I'm like, all right, let's do it. So, hats off to Jason, because he just came right through and said, here.
It's like, absolutely. If we can make it financially feasible, we'll do it.
Right.
Obviously, we live there. Sorry. If we lived there, that'd be a different story. We would do it.
Right. Right.
But, comp it. But of course, everybody's across the country.
I know.
So, but, I'm glad we were able to work it out,
Right.
And, help everybody. I remember, I was friends with Frankie Bonelli when he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, It was 4. And they can just pretty much prolong your life now. That's all they can pretty much do. When it's gotten to stage 4,
right?
I mean, he made it. I mean, he was diagnosed. He went like almost 2 years, a year longer than they originally gave him.
Right.
Ronnie was, I know, because Ronnie was a mentor of mine, Ronnie Dia. And
exactly.
He was diagnosed with stomach cancer, and it was already stage 4. So
I remember that.
We're happy
remember that coming
to be
out.
involved in and be able to, it's a great cause.
And that was one of my things. I was like, I've wanted to see you guys. I'm a huge Westbound fan. I think the last time we talked, I was like, well, I saw you guys on the Mork thing.
Right.
And I'm like, I immediately went out and bought the CD, and I'm like, to now have you being able to play and me, being able to see, I'm like, wow, this is it's great. In my hometown, I don't have to travel 8 hours to go see somebody that I really want to see.
Right.
And so I was like, man, Jason, I haven't told you
well done
yet today. I don't think I told you today, but thank you again.
Oh, sure. I couldn't do
Jason is
as well.
Manager, believe me, because I couldn't do half this stuff I'm doing without his help. So
thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Truth. He's the truth. He's the tour manager. I don't have a personal manager right now, but if it wasn't for him, I'd pull my hair out just trying to deal with enough stuff and interviews. I hired a publicist and promotions.
Wow.
Jody Best, Best Bet Promotions has really helped a lot. This is my 3rd interview today. So
really?
Yeah.
Nice.
3rd one I've done already.
Save the best for last.
She's right. That's right. You got it, Mike. She's great. Handled Def Leppard for years, Tesla.
Nice.
She broke the band Dirty Honey. She broke.
Oh, shit.
So I'm very fortunate to have her in my corner also. Yeah.
Cool. So what's been going on since, you had 2 years of basically nothing.
Right.
Now,
last talk.
Okay. We're gonna talk about, Jason's got Steel City, he's got Westbound, Road Dogg, you've got Westbound, Tango Down, the Moby Dicks. I mean, the 2 years you both had off.
Yeah.
What's the pros and the cons? Most of the time, exactly. What's the pros and the cons? We'll start with you, Chaz. What's the pros and then the cons of you having them 2 years off?
I got to be honest. The only pros is the fact that I got to spend some more time at home, maybe, and didn't, that's about it. I miss it, man. I playing recording. So that was about it. Yeah, I can't really think. Maybe I didn't have to push my voice quite as much, but you know what? That's what I do. So
I don't see you pushing your voice. I think you've got that natural wailing. Oh my God.
Thanks, man. Thank you for those kind words. But that's about it. That's the only pros. It was all
it's all con, and that's the truth.
This is what I live for. This is what it's in my blood and my genetic makeup, and it's like this is it. And all of a sudden, everything stopped. I did some recording. Yeah, you're right. I did the Tango Down record. I did a Resurrection record. I did the second.
Oh, that's right. Resurrection Kings.
Right.
Sorry.
Did that. Oh, that's okay. But that was it. I mean, we did do some shows. I don't know if Jason told you, but like the end of last year, mine owns a little place up in Mammoth. We went up there and we played a couple nights there, and it was kind of just to also hang together and jam together and just still a band, okay, guys. And it was a little bit of a paid vacation also because it's
that was fun.
And a warm up, it was a whole lot of fun. And then a warm up for the Viper Room, which we did the end of last year also. That was the only show in LA. So now things, and of course, I don't know if you've heard what happened. So all these shows, a bunch of the shows that had been booked last year, 2020, all of a sudden rescheduled for January. Because there's no name. Thought, okay, that'll be great. So we get out there, we do one show in Massachusetts, in Chicopee, Mass, and a blizzard hits.
Nice.
They canceled the rest of the shows. Not us, the venues, the city. They were leaning on it because of snow plows and parking and all that.
Right.
So after a year and a half. They were like, "Are you kidding me? We do one show." So yeah. So finally, I know, right? It's like start, stop.
Come on, man.
It wasn't enough with the pandemic. Like, okay, yeah, we're open. Oh no, we're not open. Oh yeah, you know.
Now Mother Nature says, "Ha, hold my beer."
Right. Exactly. Yep. We were already out there. I mean, obviously, we
right.
Oh, yeah. So we're making up some of those gigs, and it's nice that I'm excited. We broke the, like I said, for this year last week, and onwards and upwards.
So true.
So true. Now, Jason, you got to spend time with the family and shit. Any other pros, or is it basically all cons?
Oh no, yeah, no, it was definitely pros. I mean, myself, I spent a lot of time traveling, a lot of time on the West Coast or getting to the West Coast. So it was good for Tracy and I to wake up in the same bed for a little while instead of a hotel. So that was kind of cool. Or, it's always getting ready to go somewhere, that kind of thing. So that was kind of cool. But, we made do. I mean, Chaz, and myself, totally brainstorming to make things happen. I mean, we worked with Larry from Monsters of Rock to get us on the Monsters of Rock live.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we also, with Sawtooth, who Westbound is endorsed by, Chaz put that together many years ago with ChromaCast and whatnot, and Sawtooth. And they're a great backer of us. And they brought us on and did a whole live show with us too.
Right.
So all that kind of stuff. And then we actually did some shows last summer to kind of make up some of the stuff. And it was just a Chaz West and Friends thing. So we did some gigs with Napoli and
right.
So we were still kind of interjecting ourselves, even though it wasn't the norm. We were kind of just making our way around some of these roadblocks and getting ourselves back out there. Now we can focus the way we would normally do that. And, like kicking it off with the whiskey and then, off to Vamped and then down to see you. And then we're going to, make a trek up to the East Coast and whatnot, and then down to Florida. So we're going to be all over. So, I mean, we're making it happen. So I would definitely say we took advantage of the situation, even though it wasn't so great. So we, there were cons, but we definitely, jumped a bunch of obstacles. But like Chad said, that snow thing was crazy. But you know what?
I seen the pictures.
We flew in and we did
3 feet of snow. I know.
Yeah. It's great.
I mean,
we did a shot South America out in Chicopee. It was a great time. And then we got news that the Vault in New Bedford wasn't happening, which we're kind of sad about. And then the other two canceled as well. But we had a great time just hanging out and, getting really. Yeah.
It just sucked that after, we were all, so biting at the bit to do these shows and then only got one. But during the pandemic, we kind of took lemons and tried to make lemonade,
Yeah, exactly.
The best we could as far as, doing the streaming shows. And then when there were some venues that were open, we did a couple of shows last year, in the fall for Westbound anyway. And then Friends was because it wasn't going to work out for all of Westbound right then and there. So it was kind of just to be on good terms still with a promoter. And, it would just be fun. And I thought, why not? Let's just do it, a couple of gigs out there. And
that was cool too. I saw a post about that. I'm like, man, I wish I could make it because you had the Napoli and it just looked like a really good time.
Yeah, it was fun, man. We just did some Zeppelin and Van Halen, right?
It was fun. And then I
did no originals, it was just fun. Chaz West and Friends. We might have done a couple other covers, maybe Aerosmith or something, but it was mainly just Zeppelin and Van Halen.
Yeah, that was. And then the fall, like Chaz was saying, then we went out west again to the mountains, which were just unbelievable.
Really cool.
And so we did a bunch of there in Mammoth.
Yeah, 10,000 feet above sea level. It's really cool.
Yeah,
they were having fire issues with smoke and stuff, but besides that, it was great. It's a beautiful area. You just get out in God's country. It's like it was a real nice way for us all to get back together and hang out and and also play, they break the ice that again, after the pandemic, because we hadn't done anything since the ChromaCast streaming show, like the end of the year, the fall of the year before. So,
right.
yeah.
So now it seems like, everything is taking off.
Yep.
Now, let's go to Chaz. Let's go to Tango Down.
What about?
Okay. One of my favorites. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I love them. This is
They're
the
great.
album that
They're great.
started off with me. And that was basically where I found your vocals, and I'm like, this guy is kick ass. I mean, they just and the whole album is great. Now you got a new album coming out. Now, did it help getting the new album going with Tango Down? The pandemic helped that. Did that get focused on that where you might not have had time to get that going?
Yeah, possibly, because we might have been touring a lot more in 2021. Had there not been a pandemic. So, but it did, because there was plenty of time. I went and did it right after Chaz West and Friends thing.
Mm-hmm.
I spent an extra week or so in Connecticut, New York area, and got it done. So it could have possibly, but I would always try to make some room. Even when touring, even back in the day, there'd always be some weeks off. even when I was on for 12 weeks at a time, it would always be a couple of weeks, 3 weeks or so in between, and I would have worked it somehow.
Oh yeah, I'm sure of it. I mean, that's not one of them that you can.
Right. So, the time you heard my vocals was Tango Down.
Yes, I mean that's the first time. Late to the party, I guess you could say, and it was like
first record with Bonham. That was in 1995, 96. The first one.
Wait a minute. See, I only heard the one song, and it really, okay, you're gonna hate me, but it was at the time that wasn't my musical preference. Really, I was more into the harder stuff, and so it was like I dug them. Now, revisiting and going back, I love them. I mean, I play them all the time because your taste change.
Yeah, well, I know. As you age, as you get older, and you become more versatile in your musical tastes. I understand that.
Right. And back then, you're kind of thrown into this category, and you do your best to stay in that category. Believe me, I wasn't allowed to say I like Prince. I wasn't allowed to say I like this one or that one. But now it's like, hey man, I fucking love Prince.
Right.
He's a great musician. Right. What a musician. But you can't say that back then. I mean, your friends would hang your ass.
Well, I don't know about that. I used to still say I loved James Brown.
James Brown's cool though. You could say any day of the week, James Brown.
I always be like, he's a genius. He's a fucking genius. Okay.
Yes.
Not about it. I don't know. I was never too worried about what people's what they thought their view. Right. Whatever. This is I've always tried to be very versatile, but I do know what you're saying. As we get older and expand our minds a bit more, we get more versatile in our musical taste.
And that's the absolute truth. We really do. And, I've got a whole. It's not just rock. It's everything now. I absorb anything that I've missed.
The funniest thing to made me think of that, Steve Jones of the Sex Pistols. I saw a thing. It was online. He was interviewed like a week or so ago, and he said since he's gotten so much older, he'd much rather listen to Steely Dan than listen to
Right. Wow.
Great. I mean, I love Steely Dan. Come on, they're
right.
I like them.
But this is Jonesy, and I've known Jonesy.
Yeah.
And it's a bit too loud and too heavy for me, right? These days. Steely Dan.
Damn. But okay. Now,
carry on.
Right now, Jason.
Yes.
You've also got Steel City going on.
Yeah.
What's going on over there? Is there anything happening in that camp?
Yeah, I mean, there's always action going on. I know, Mike Flores. He is pretty much the founder of that project.
There he is, right there.
Yep.
The boss is always lurking.
We like that. he's always planning. He's always writing. He's he's got a great aptitude for it, and he pretty much does everything for that band. And so I do the parts when I'm told to do the parts. We do shows when he's ready to do the shows, and then also we did another project together called Love and Chains too. That's coming out this year, and that actually includes somebody else that actually is involved with the Westbound camp as well, Brian Carl, and so he's been involved in drums on that. So those are Mike's projects. Those are Mike's babies. We're Westbound, and I'm not saying that's anything any different. Westbound, I've been more connected to from the get-go, where Mike has always had a true concept of what he wanted to do, and I totally respect that. And I enjoy playing with him a lot when we get a chance to. Westbound, has really been, we're really trying to make, a ground assault, so to speak.
Right.
So that's
exactly
on. And Steel City will be doing that show in Philadelphia, of course, with Brad Lee, in July.
I think Brad's coming down on the 25th here.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
I'm almost positive he's coming down because he wants to see you guys.
Oh, good.
He wants to see Westbound.
Cool.
So,
yeah. We were actually we were going to do a show with him. He was working on booking a show for us in Baltimore, but then of course it was affected by the pandemic.
Yeah.
So it never really came to fruition. At one point he was booking a theater there.
Right.
I know, Roy from Steel City, he's got that band, The Fifth.
Yep.
They were scheduled at that same theater, and all that kind of stuff kind of fell apart with a COVID resurgence, and we kind of had to start over. But yeah,
right.
Steel City, great guys, awesome band.
His partner passed, right, from COVID. What was that?
Oh yeah, that's right.
What was his name?
who?
Like
Bill Shamus.
Yeah, Bill Shamus.
And his
Lori.
What I heard.
Lori
right?
also.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah, Bill had. It was funny because we did Rockin' Pod last year, and Bill was supposed to be there. He was one of the people that was driving that show.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then he messaged me. I said, I got there. I said, where are you? And he said, oh, we're not feeling well. I've got allergies. And I was like, oh, geez. And then a couple of days later, I found out he was in the hospital. Then him and his wife passed away, sadly.
Right?
Right.
It was like him within a couple weeks, and then her within like maybe a couple days to a week after.
They had kids?
Yes.
Ah, it's horrible.
Yes.
A few weeks.
Yep. And it just both of them. No, and the one thing is, she found him. From what I understand, she found him on the floor. Because he was just feeling sick. Rushed him to the hospital. Basically, from what I gather, he was unresponsive and pretty much left. And then the paramedics got him back, got him to the hospital. He went on a ventilator and everything like that, and he never made it back out of the hospital. Now, his wife got admitted, and I don't know if they ever saw each other again. And, I can't imagine that where, okay, I just put my wife in the hospital because she's has COVID. Oh, crap, now I've got to go in because now I'm not feeling well. And who knows if Lori ever even knew what happened to it, but I'm almost positive in her soul she did.
I'm sure, yeah.
Well,
they reunited in a better place.
Right. And then, so she didn't have to, go on without him. He didn't have to go on without her. They're
kids. I mean, I hope they have good grandparents or somebody that's taking custody.
Right. The kids, I do believe are older.
Oh, okay, good.
So they're pretty much grown up.
Right.
I don't know their ages, but I know they're older.
Makes it a little bit easier. It's still horrendous.
It's still horrendous, but and they had a really good outpouring of support and everything at the memorials and everything. But yeah, that was a shock. I was just, man.
Yeah, I know.
And I didn't really know Bill, but the one time I met him, he treated me like I was one of the only person that he wanted to talk to in the room.
Right.
And that, there's some people that make you feel really, really good. And he was one of them. He just was all into it. It was at one of Bradley's events. I think that was the weekend that Steel City was playing in May or something like that. But he was just a fantastic guy, and then
Yeah, great guy.
Was
Great
it
guy.
last year? It was last year he passed, right?
Yeah,
yes,
Right, because I was supposed to do. I thought they were supposed to have Rockin' Pod last year, and I was asked to do it, and then, of course, it got canceled again because
it got canceled. Yeah,
But-
he did. I think he just didn't want to. He didn't want to go through the hassle of trying to work on it and put it on, and it just.
Right.
I remember him posting something about, okay, it's not happening this year, maybe next year. It just it was like, I'm not even going to try this year. Put all that work into something, and then you can't do it. I mean, it's like.
Yeah, sure. Right.
But and at that time, it probably wouldn't have went on. You know?
Probably not. No, I know.
Right.
But
So,
yeah, great guy, huge supporter. Always been behind Westbound. I met him through Steel City and the connection with John Kibble and stuff like that. So he was always a great guy. And I hate to say that, I hate to say he's gone, because I feel like, he's still here because he helped so much to actually continue this whole music scene. I mean, he did that huge festival in Ohio last year that was like a huge success. I mean,
Rock the Block.
Yeah. And I feel like, just being around that many people, the percentage that he probably got it there probably happened, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think I hate to say it, but was he vaccinated? Do you know? I don't want to get political, but I'm just
saying.
No. Okay.
I know he was not, unfortunately.
No, he was. It's like, God, what's the word? Where you can't. People take that puffer. What the hell's it called?
Oh yeah, like
what?
He was asthmatic.
Asthmatic.
Oh
yeah. So he couldn't do it. He was advised not to. He didn't really want to do the shot because he heard, other people. But he was, and this is what gets me, is somebody told me the next day, the day after he was found, the next day he had scheduled to get the blood thing. I don't think it's a transfusion, but it's they don't give you the shot. It's a blood thing where it's more safer for asthmatics, and it was proven. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna get that. So what the fuck? He was like right there.
Timing is everything. Wow.
It is, and that's what I think killed me the most is when they told me that. I was like, you got to be kidding. And they're like, yeah. Him and his, they were going in the next day, and I'm like, fuck. It's just one of them things. You just never know. You never know.
Never know.
You could be taught.
Yeah, he seemed like a really good guy, and he was, definitely doing what he could to help out bands and keep entertainment going. So
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, he was a huge supporter. He was really into Westbound. I know he had the CD.
Wanted to have us. What was that?
Steel City and Tango Down.
We were doing Jason thing that in Baltimore. He wanted us on that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Cantina, something.
Cancun Cantina.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he definitely was. Between Brad, they were supporting us on that. They had put aside a date for us, but with COVID, it just never happened.
Never happened. And that's the bad thing. But now with everything going, I know Brad wants to get through Masquerade, and then things are going to start rolling again. But he's putting all his focus on getting Masquerade done, making sure it's the best it could be, and get that done, get it behind us, and then move forward with more shows. But it's Masquerade. It's been 2 years since 2020. I remember I was supposed to get on a plane the next 2 days. It was a Wednesday or it was a Tuesday. I was supposed to get on a plane Thursday to fly to Baltimore, and I got the message everything shut down in Baltimore. And it's like, damn. And here it is, next month. It's finally gonna, go on.
Sure. Well, that's cool.
So then once the rest of the shows, I know that's why he wants to come down here. I told him, I said, man, with everything that's going on, you don't have to come. Don't feel obligated to come down here. He's like, no, I got you. I'm like, okay.
Good.
You can't stop somebody from wanting to see music. You can't stop somebody from wanting to go to shows. We'll find a way.
they're starving live entertainment. That's why
we're definitely bringing our A game, and we've got those guys in April, so it's going to be an amazing show, and of course the rest of you guys that you guys have on the bill. And I was sorry that it didn't work out for Wild America. I mean, I think Derek had a conflict or whatnot, a previously booked show, so I know he wanted to be there, and he told me they had tried just about everything to work it out flight wise to try to make it happen. And I mean, talking some serious dollars, and they were willing to pay it, but it was more of a scheduling thing because I think he's got a gig. He wouldn't have gotten there till after the show since it is a daytime thing.
Right. And, I understood. And Billy, he kind of was like, man, dude, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, Billy, don't be sorry. We're good.
It's okay.
We'll get with you some other time. So now I got something in the works in the fall. Right. And who messages me first? Bam, Billy. It's like, okay, you are on Facebook, moron. He's like, dude, I could get, I want to get you Wild America and Stairway to Halen. I'm like, all right, I'll let you know. I told him what it's all about. He's like, I want in. Sorry about this time, but I want in. So I'm almost positive. I'm just gonna. He'll be one of the Wild America and Stairway to Halen will be 2 of the 4 bands that will be in.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, Bill's total road warrior. He
loves it.
He always he loves to play. He'll do whatever it takes to play. And I mean,
he's a
good human too.
Right. He's a great guy, man. He's fantastic.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Now, what accomplishments? Let's go with this first off. Now, in the next 5 years, give yourselves 5 years. Jason, we'll start with you. Next 5 years, what accomplishments do you see in your future?
Excuse me 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say, first and foremost, new Westbound record. I mean, I'll have Chaz.
Yes.
Yeah, new Westbound record. We're still kind of in the touring phase where a lot of stuff that we're trying to do. When that record 2019, we did some stuff. And then, it was kind of interrupted by the pandemic, like we just talked about. So my goal is, obviously, I think within the next year and a half, I'll confirm this with Chaz, that we plan to have a new record out. Right now, we're going to support the heck out of the existing one. We've got Frontiers, behind us still.
You really never got to go out and support Volume 1.
Yeah, we've really never got to support Volume 1.
A little bit in 2019, but then
a little bit.
We're going to start again in 2020, and then of course the first gig was supposed to be Viper Room, April of 2020, and of course we know what happened. So
we know what happened. Yeah. So new music. That'd be I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. They want it.
And then a major tour, of course. I know that's the goal for every single band. Major tour, and whether right now we're going out, we're doing bigger club venues. We're looking at going on tour with a bigger entity or equal entity that to do outdoor venues or arenas as opposed to doing large clubs. I mean, that's our goal. I think that's every band's goal. We're blessed.
Gotta be the goal.
We're blessed that we have such a legacy in the band. With Chaz, who was with Jason Bonham. He's been with Lynch Mob. Foreigner. He brings this is his concept. Him and Roy, myself and Jimmy and T-Bone are just glad to be a part of it and helping it progress.
Integral, definitely.
Integral, exactly.
Very much so. Definitely. It was my boys. As I always say, I got bros and bros.
Right. It can't always be about one person. Yeah, it could be one person's vision, but it's who you surround yourself with that makes it perfect.
Yeah.
That's why I think I told you before, I was very careful and very, particular about who I got to be in my band, because I was in the driver's seat this time. And I wanted a family, type of feeling and atmosphere. And that's why I, grabbed Jason, because I already knew him and I had worked with him. And I understand you got to do some other things sometimes to make a living, whatever, but I wanted to make sure the guys I chose were going to make this a priority,
Exactly.
And yeah, it's worked out. And what he said about, I mean, if it wasn't for the pandemic, I would say this year we would have been having a volume 2 Westbound.
Yeah.
Honestly. But because it's like basically you press pause.
Exactly.
For a half or so, right? It's like starting all over again, as John Lennon sang, as he said, starting over. That's why I hired Best Bet Promotion, Jody Best, and re-releasing the single from that, because it really is. People are forgotten. 2019, they're like telling me, "Oh man, I love that song, Never Surrender. I never heard that before." I'm like, well, it came out in 2019.
Right.
Toured with it a bit.
And that wasn't even a single off the record, dude.
Well, it was. It was the first video, actually. It was the first video.
Oh, the first video. Okay, yeah. I'm thinking of something else.
Surrender, and then second was Dance of Life.
Dance of Life.
It was just re-released as a single, and then we're going to do Never Surrender also.
My favorite, if I got to say one, my favorite, and I know it won't be released because it's so long.
Traveler.
Oh my God. That song is amazing, dude.
I agree. And you're right. It's not going to be released as a single, but I love it. It's kind of, my favorite Zeppelin song of all time is Kashmir. So it's kind of like, that's what I had in mind when Royce and I wrote that. Yeah.
It is an amazing, and it takes you on this journey.
Right.
It's like, it's got mood swings. It's got a woman, it's got mood swings. It's happy. It's just,
you hit the nail on the head as far as the word journey. It's supposed to be a journey across the universe. I even say that on stage. You're right.
It is fantastic. Are we gonna hear it at the benefit?
You never know.
I love it.
Of course.
I love it. But yeah, you're right. Anything that came out in 2019, people really have forgotten about.
Well, they have. I mean, people don't remember just even before the pandemic,
Right.
But this with the pandemic, it's like starting all over again. So that's why we need some help here. The record company's not going to put more money into promotion and publicity from 2 years ago, right? Or a year and a half. So that's why I reached out to my friend Jody Best, because I saw what she did with Dirty Honey.
Dude,
amazing.
A few years ago,
they're everywhere.
And they're opening for Guns N' Roses, and they're here, and now they're on their own tour. Where they were out with Wolfgang Van Halen. So I was like, it's worth it, and she's really done a bang up job.
Good.
Yeah, Chaz, when you took me to that show, the Troubadour, I didn't know the extent of it, and then after the show,
that's right,
we're at the Rainbow, hanging out with those guys,
right?
And, I mean, they've. I don't.
They were doing the Troubadour. That was what, 2018, Jason? I think it was.
Yeah, 18, and then I even on a label, which is pretty amazing. So Jody's done
no label. First band ever to be touring, opening for Guns N' Roses. The biggest tour of the year. But
right. I was like, wow, how did they land that gig, man?
What was that?
I was shocked. I'm like, how did they land that gig? Well, that's the gig every fucking band wants.
Jody Best. I'm telling you, she had a lot to do. Worked with Def Leppard for 25 years.
Jeez.
So,
she knows her shit. She's seasoned.
Well, she loves Westbound. She loves the song. She loves the band. And she doesn't just take on anybody. It doesn't matter if you have the money or not. She has to really be. She doesn't need, with the clients like Def Leppard and Tesla, she doesn't have to go for just anybody.
Right. She can be picky.
Quite an honor, too. Definitely.
Now, this person that just commented, this is Teresa Kendall. She lives here. And I basically just met her online. We haven't met face to face yet, but she's heard about the benefit, and she's hooked me up with a couple people around here. Anyway, but she said, can't wait to see you guys live. Your voice is amazing. And I agree with her.
Thank you.
You have that voice. And I anybody that's listening that has not heard of Westbound, there's a lot of people in here right now that are going to the benefit that are kind of checking you out and see who you are.
Sure, of course.
This guy's voice, who it reminds me of, and I don't know if you'll take offense to it or you'll be happy about it, but if you take Robert Plant, David Coverdale, and sprinkle the hell out of it with a little Ronnie James Dio, you've got Chaz's voice.
That's an amazing compliment. My God.
Dude, it is. Your voice is.
Thank you.
Had me hooked when I saw that. I don't go out and just buy a CD for any reason.
Right.
Your voice and the tightness of the band. The band was just so fucking tight on that Mork thing, and I just had to go buy that CD. And I thought, okay,
thank you,
live
Mike.
CD. It's probably not going to be as good.
Right.
And, I play that CD all the fucking time. It's so. It reminds me of the Coverdale Page CD.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in that vein, dude. And that was such a great record.
It really was. Yeah, I agree. No, that's a huge compliment. And Ronnie James Dio was a mentor of mine. I don't know if you knew that.
I did know this.
Met him in the late 90s when I was on tour with Bonham, with Jason Bonham Band. And that's how I met Roy Z, too. We were on tour in Southland. Really? And true story, we were the opening band. It was us, Dio, and Scorpions, and Iron Maiden. And, Z was playing, it was Bruce Dickinson Band, I'm sorry. And he was playing with them. Roy Z was playing with them. But yeah, that's how I met Ronnie. Was like, who's that kid singing with Bonzo's kid? We were the opening band.
Wow.
In Brazil, Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Wow.
Like 100,000 people,
right.
I was on a huge high. It was like, and living my dreams. And all he said that to a couple of the guys. And I knew Jeff Pilson was playing bass with him at the time. And he goes, yeah, this guy Chaz, he lives in LA. He goes, oh, he lives in LA. Wow, I'd really like to meet him. And so,
wow,
I swear to God. And I'd met Vinny the day before in a line at a restaurant. The hotel restaurant had like a buffet. And of course, everything's in Portuguese. So on with our trays. And I'm going, do you know what the fuck that is? That's how we met each other. It's like, I don't know. I go, I don't speak Portuguese. What is that? That's how we met. We had to laugh about that. Yeah. So his tour manager came over to me and said, hey, Ronnie would like to hang out with you. You going to be stick around? And I go, of course I'm going to stick around.
After you picked yourself up from passing out on the floor from that.
Played in front of 100,000 people,
Right.
Gladiator, and he says, okay, well, listen, when they're done, Ronnie and I go off this way, right? And the band goes this way. So you come with us. And I was like, okay. So, the tour manager brings out his bottle of vodka and tonic. He was drinking vodka tonics on stage, He pours for him, does an amazing show. And Ronnie pointed to me, and I'd never met him before. He smiled. And then the tour manager, all right, come with me. And we go this way, and he grabs Ronnie's bottle and, the bottle of tonic. And we go in the, backstage. And of course, these are football stadiums. They're soccer stadiums. So it's just a cement floor with, metal lockers. That's all it is,
Right.
Nothing special. And you're sitting on a wooden bench.
Right.
He comes in, he puts the bottle down, he pours him a drink. He goes, you want one? I'm like, sure. And he pours me a drink. And then Ronnie pulls out a joint and he goes, do you do this? And I go, not while I'm singing, but yeah, sure, And he spent the next 2.5 hours. First of all, he complimented me, just exactly what I told you. He goes, the reason you're here is because I heard you backstage. And I said, because we started with Immigrant Song, right?
Oh, nice.
I said, I felt like a gladiator, right? It's like,
right.
100,000 fists in the air. And he goes, I heard you backstage. And he goes, I get my bassist, Jeff, knows you. And I said, yeah, I know Jeff, from being around. And I met Vinny. And he goes, so I heard you live in LA. I wanted to meet you. And he goes, because I was like, who is that kid singing with Bonzo's kid? So, yeah, he spent the next 2.5 hours, as I said, he complimented me. He gave me advice. Told me kind of what to do and what not to do. And it made a everlasting impression that,
wow.
Phone number. I remember, I was just living in Hollywood at the time.
And how old were you at this time?
28.
Wow.
Yeah. 29. Maybe let me think. I wasn't 29. I would have been 29 a couple months. So I was, 28.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And phone number. And said, it's funny, I live in Encino now. I'm right down the street from where he used to live, about maybe a half a mile to a mile.
Jeez.
So at the time, it wasn't. And he says, you have any questions or, anything, any advice? Here's my number. Always, don't hesitate to call me. And I'm just not the kind of guy who's just going to bug him for no reason,
No.
But I would see him here and there, and we'd always hang out. If he even saw me, I remember even at NAMM, it's like hundreds of people, and he saw me. He's like, "Get Chaz, come here, get over here." And
Wow.
get him over here, get him behind here. Oh yeah, he was such a great guy. I mean, Vinny's birthday party. He'd like to have some drinks, and he was such a great guy. So warm and kind and giving, and
that's all I've ever heard about him.
Fun to hang.
Right.
He could bust balls too. So it was,
Hey, Jeff, bar last weekend last weekend in Encino, or actually, was it Encino? Woodland Hills, I'm sorry. And they actually, I don't know if it was true or not, but the owner of the bar was saying it was a bar that frequent all the time.
Yeah, he used to go in there. Yeah, it was a pub. He loved English pubs.
Yeah,
spent so much time in England with Rainbow. He told me that. Yeah. And Bruno Mars started there as a kid. She told us. Remember?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Our girlfriend and Tracy were very impressed. They were like,
yeah.
My girlfriend loved Bruno Mars. Oh, I know.
Dude, he could put on a show. Let me tell you.
Hey,
sure.
Songs I love.
Yeah.
He's
that dude can dance.
I agree. He's not Prince, but
he's not Prince. Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and that you took one of the questions I was going to ask. I was going to ask, any musician has ever inspired you or taught you anything, and
it was
just what's in your voice. I had a feeling it was Dio, and I did hear that there was some kinship between you and Dio anyway.
Oh yeah, loved him.
Now Jason
was a man. I'll be forever grateful to the time that he invested with me. Honestly,
right.
You didn't have to do that. I was a nobody kid. So,
right. But he saw something, and that's the great ones do. They'll see something, and they'll help.
But he was kind with everyone. I mean, it didn't matter work.
That's what I heard about him. I've always heard that about Dio.
He never thought he was better than anyone else. He was like, he'd open the doors for everybody. Just he was just very cordial and courteous and respectful of everyone.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Now, Jason.
Yeah.
Your inspiration. Who's your inspiration? Who was there anybody that ever mentored you?
I would say, first inspiration, obviously, my dad, and finding his records. My mom and dad split up when I was very, very young, but I still had a relationship. But when he left a pile of LPs, which was every Beatles record,
Nice.
All, every Led Zeppelin record,
Yeah, that's cool.
In Through the Outdoor, all the Stones and everything like that. I mean, I would just come home every day. And at that point, it wasn't as cool to listen to the Beatles and stuff like that,
Hey,
have you seen the shirt he's wearing?
Oh, dude, I love the Beatles.
Song, right? Come on.
Very good. You're not fired as of today.
Oh yeah, but when you in retrospect, when you look at it, I mean, John Lennon and stuff like that, those were all very popular. But then when you get like into like the early '80s and stuff like that, and you're kind of like Def Leppard and stuff, those kind of stuff got forgotten. But my point is, Paul McCartney was like a huge influence, and then we got this evolution when rock starts to happen again. I'm kind of going to date myself, but Quiet Riot comes out. They've been around for a while. Ozzy, obviously, prior to that, I was a big Ozzy fan. I went to see Ozzy. I was lucky. I saw Randy Rhoads at 2 performances. I saw him at the Glens Falls Civic Center, and I saw him at Cape Cod Coliseum. And I got to meet them at an in-store in Schenectady, New York, at Record Town. And from that, I developed a small relationship with Rudy Sarzo. You didn't have like the internet and stuff like that. But then when he came back with Quiet Riot, I got to hang out with him and meet him. And then full circle, Chaz works with him, with Randy Rhoads Remembered and stuff. So he was a big influence on, rock wise. I listened to Sabbath, but then seeing Ozzy do it, I kind of rediscovered it. And hearing his bass parts, and then Geezer Butler. But my first interaction with somebody that I really got to talk to about it, being at a really young age, was Rudy Sarzo with Ozzy, and then Quiet Riot.
That's cool.
Yeah, awesome. Moving from that, I mean, you know, the influences are definitely there from like John Paul Jones, Paul McCartney.
Oh yeah.
You know, Billy Sheehan. I worked with Eric Martin from 2011 to 2017, so I had to learn that music. So I had a relationship with Sheehan. Learn those parts and whatnot. He introduced me to Eric Martin. But yeah, I would say my first influence in actually talking to somebody that was kind of like, in the know, being an Aussies band was definitely Rudy Sarzo, and he influenced me a lot in my my playing at that point. And persona. I mean, he's a really, really good guy.
He is. He really is.
Yeah. And then to kind of be reintroduced to him later and, talking to him more through Chaz and whatnot, and through, Jimmy Burkhart and Roy and those guys playing with him at, Randy Rhoads Remembered, I mean, it's just kind of full. So I would definitely say he was probably, a big influence playing wise initially, and just, attitude and, way to be as a musician.
Right. Now, that'll lead me to my next question for both of you. A musician, you have kind of a musician you have taken under your wing and kind of given, passed the torch on to.
I got you. Yeah. At this point, as far as I guess, kind of what Ronnie did with me, as far as mentoring or just giving advice to, the bassist Tango Down, he's a kid,
Great.
He looks like my son.
He does.
Hair. He really does.
Your son, your brother,
Yeah, but well, he's I'm 53. He's like 22, 23. So I could be that, honestly,
Yeah.
Right.
Looks just like him, only with a little shorter hair. So I've given him some advice. He's a kid that lives in Wisconsin. So there's one, and I've tried. Anybody asks me, I've had kids come up and ask me, or even online, can you give me any advice? And and I'll always do the best I can to basically tell them. Most important thing is, if you're going to try to make this a business, you better love it more than anything, and it's got to be in your blood. And if there's anything else you'd rather do it, because this is for fun or for a hobby or whatever, but it's the hardest now ever. And then I have told some kids that. I said, but if you're like me, or you weren't going to let anybody stop you, and nobody tell you, oh, you're dreaming, yeah, you dream, but I also do it. I was a dreamer and a doer.
Boom.
Go for it, and do this, don't do this, learn, what to do and what not to do. So yeah,
exactly. Good. Hey, you got to share. You got to give it away. I mean,
you got to give back, and and I enjoy, especially if I see, there's a couple singers I've talked to, and unknowns, and I could see that their eyes light up and they're hearing about stories and this and that. And I remember I was like that too, Ronnie.
I'm still like that. I mean, I hear your stories. It's like, let's just sit out and talk,
Yeah.
I remember when I got the Bonham gig, and it's like, next thing I know, like months later, I'm hanging out with Robert Plant and Jimmy Page. It was mind blowing. Like, am I going to wake up, slap myself,
Right.
And they were very cool, very personable. They never really, Robert, I talked to him. I met him a few times. We hung out. There was a lot of just, jokes and things like that. There wasn't really like a mentor type. But yeah, everybody was cool. Rod the Mod Stewart, I remember him saying to me, all right, I got quite a set of pipes. Who's your favorite soul singer? I mean, yeah, honestly, so I was like a kid in a candy store then. Yeah.
Yeah, Chaz,
amazing.
Yeah. What was that?
You saw Rod Stewart the other night at the Hollywood Bowl, right?
With Cheap Trick at the Hollywood Bowl. It was great.
Cool.
He was great.
Was he?
He comes out. He's got this hot female background vocalist, right? And he did the Robert Palmer "Addicted to Love," like the video. We had them all in white shirts and little shorts.
Wow.
And he has the band behind him, but they're doing the moves just like the Robert Palmer video. It was funny. I was like,
oh, that would be cool.
Oh, it's a brilliant idea. I never thought he would start with a cover, right? But yeah, it was cool. And then
what? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. But then later on, they do that one song, and then of course he goes into, and they become the background vocalist. But it was great. His man, whoever came up with the idea, I was like, that's brilliant. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Rick was killer. There always are.
You know what I saw the other day, which I know you were at that show, and
Right.
then I had to see that it was the anniversary of his first performance in the United States with the Jeff Beck group.
Yes, mention that. Yes, because he did one of those songs from that.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. I mean, the second song he did, which is a song I love, was "You Wear It Well."
Oh yeah,
I
killer.
love that song. So
Damn. And, you know, Rod Stewart is Rod Stewart. He can, if he wants to open up with a cover tune, he can open up with a cover tune.
exactly right. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great idea. You just never expected it. You know,
No.
I've seen him a couple times. Never expected that. But it was. He still got it. You know, he's 78 years old or 79, and you know he's still out there running around. He drops a few notes here and there, but he pulls it off. His tone is just so beautiful. You know,
he's one on my bucket list. I mean, I've never seen him, and I'd love to get an opportunity to see him.
Oh, you should. He's out there. He's out there now, and I think he's doing a residency in Vegas. He's going to start it in the fall. But you definitely, I highly recommend go see it. He's got
one thing that was really cool was a couple years ago, you know, I think it was a Randy Rhoads, remember? Yeah, it was. And Phil Chen comes up to me, and we had just West, and Phil Chen was the bass player from Rod Stewart.
Right.
And to me, he's like, you play with one of my favorite singers. And I was like, oh, who are you? She's like, I'm Phil Chen. He's like, I'm good friend of Chaz. He's like, I love the record. He's like, Chaz, my favorite singers and one of my favorite people. And I mean, Phil Chen, amazing bass player. To hear that from him blew me away.
He always had nicknames for everybody. He'd never call you by your real name. He just had a nickname. And you'd have to know who he was referring to because he would never, even Robbie.
He told me that day, I'll let you.
Right. He called Robbie Krieger the Worm. Right.
Yeah.
And then he would call his son the Worm Sperm.
The Worm Sperm. Oh my God.
Yeah, you know, and he had nicknames for everybody. Brian Tishy played drums with Westbound, of course, the Moby Dick. He would call him Murderation because he just murdered drums. Yeah.
Wow,
Really?
I love Tishy. Oh my God.
Oh, so do I. Yeah.
Oh my God, he's so
Jersey
he's very underappreciated. Every now and then you hear his name thrown around, but you know. And what pisses me off is you will hear a name like Tommy Lee, which is absolutely 85% less talented than a Brian Tishy.
Absolutely.
But, Tommy, no offense, but it's just.
To be honest with you, though, guys in the know, artists, musicians that I highly respect, they all know Tish.
Oh, yeah.
One of the, not the best hard rock drummer out there right now.
Right. And you know, when we were back getting the Circus and Hit Parader magazines, he was never in them. He was never in anything Drummers World, nothing.
You know, he's out with Dead Daisies now. He's in Europe.
Yes.
He's back with Glenn Hughes singing.
Right?
Amazing. Yeah.
Oh, God. That's a band I got to see, too. I mean, they just have been
I saw him with my
consistently good.
Yeah.
And he's playing bass and he's singing, you know, which, you know, you know.
I have to run in a minute because I've got an appointment.
That's fine. We're basically done. It's been an hour.
Yeah,
I look forward to seeing you in Charleston.
Can't wait to see you.
Definitely.
It's going to be awesome.
Good time.
It's going to be a great time. I thank you.
From Savannah, so it's not that far. We're going to be in Savannah tonight, the 2 nights before. So
that's cool.
All right.
But we will see you both. Then.
Cheers.
You have a good night, Jazz.
Hey, you too, Mike. Onwards and upwards. Safe travels, everybody. Jason, I'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm talking before then, I know. Because he is the designated tour manager. So we're going to be talking a lot more before then.
Exactly.
All right, man. Have a great night.
Peace.
Be safe, guys.
God bless.
God bless. Love you.
Love you. Whole lot of love yous.
I love you.
Whole lot of love you. Love it. Did a little what do you call it? A little Led Zeppelin ish kind of thing there. Whole lot of love yous.
Yep, exactly. It's killer. That's kind of like our greeting, whatnot. We say hello, goodbye, kind of thing. But yeah, that's great. You know,
Okay.
We love playing together. And huge shout out to the rest of the guys in the band. You know, Jimmy and T-Bone, and then we're using multiple drummers right now. Brian Tishy, Brian Carl, John Hummel. Those guys have all come out on the road with us. But yeah, it's just fantastic. And huge shout out to my other bands too. You know, Steel City you mentioned earlier. You know, Roy and Mike and everybody, and we brought a new drummer actually from Cold Sweat.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I can't wait to see them back out. To get everything pumping again. I mean, it's starting to have, people are a little leery. They're wanting to get out, but even the venues are like, but now it seems like everything's starting to gain traction.
It's definitely getting traction. And one thing that I noticed, because I'm constantly, I gotta live and breathe it. Sometimes I think my wife loves it and she hates it at the same time, because I'm doing it 24/7. So either I'm practicing music or I'm booking shows. You mentioned about mentoring people. I mean, people come to me and ask me about gigs all the time. I was just on the phone with Ashton for Native Sons. They're doing the killer band. They're doing a show at the Whiskey in July. Just advice on booking and stuff like those. And those guys are road warriors. So they do a
road warriors.
Yeah. So when they come to me and they start talking, I'm just like, you know what? I'm proud to be talking to those guys. I mean, they're great.
I love Ashton. I love Victor. I love Mike, the drummer. I met the new lineup.
Yeah.
What is the now lineup at the last show that they did my show in November.
Oh yeah, met Victor.
They were so great.
I just met Victor at the shows that we did, because we did the Whiskey, which had Band Inc. Yeah.
Victor is he's a monster. He's just this little Brazilian dude, but he's a monster on the guitar.
Really killer, really nice dude. And he fits into that, both those bands great. He's with Juliana, where they're a 3-piece, and whatnot.
He's just a great guy.
He just kicks ass.
And he wants to, and he's got that hunger.
Yeah.
And it's not, and he's one that, he's so young, and he gets it. It's not about the money. He cares less. He just wants to play. If someone wants him to be on stage with, I told him, well, when I booked the bands for October or November, I always say October. When I booked the bands for November, I realized after I booked everybody, I was like, oh shit. I said, Victor, are you okay with this? He's like, yeah. I was like, well, you're playing in Shotgun Superstars, you're playing in Native Sons, and you're playing in Asphalt Valentine. You're going to be on stage all fucking day. Is this okay? He's like, I don't give a shit. Just bring me water.
Yeah, I mean, he was talking to Trace before the show in Vegas, and he was telling her that he's been pretty much away from home for like the past 6 weeks. He's just like nonstop. He's a great player,
Right. He just wants to play. That's it.
Yeah.
And he's such a good kid, such a humble kid,
Far from you. I mean, he's in the Atlanta area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really
we
cool.
have he loves roller coasters and amusement parks. And he's like, dude, we gotta do an amusement park. So we were gonna go this year, but he's way too fucking busy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So we'll schedule something. And he's like, just tell me and we just go ride roller coasters, dude. I need to ride more roller coasters.
Hey, yeah, you know what? I lived in the Atlanta area, so you kind of grow up with Six Flags right there, one of the better Six Flags, which has pardon the expression, a shit ton of coasters. So I can understand why.
Ton of coasters.
Yeah. Well, just randomly, one person I forgot to mention is Steel City, Tony Stahl, awesome keyboard player.
Oh yeah.
Guitar player.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. And that band, Steel City, is so good. That was one I even told Mike. I was like, I first heard it and it was like one of them that doesn't grab you right off the bat. It did. Dawn Hahn, she got a hold of me and she's like, you got to hear these guys. So she sent me something and I'm like, okay, I didn't tell her, but I was like, And then it was like Eclipse was for me.
Oh yeah.
A lot of melodic rock is like that for me. And it's like, you've got to get it. So, and it was like Eclipse, Steel City was like the third listen. And then it was like, bam, it hit me. And I was like, one of my new favorite bands is right now. I found them, and a good thing I listened to it. And I always do that. I'll go back and listen to something within a week, I'll give it at least 3 listens. And it was like that third listen. It was icing on the cake, and that CD didn't come out for a long time.
Yeah, and like I said, yes, Mike's working on a new record right now. So him and Roy are working on that. And we've got the new drummer from Cold Sweat, and we got Tony Stahl and whatnot. That's a great project. And I'm really looking forward to that. And Mike's got the other thing, Love and Chains, too, with some other who's a member from our touring part of Westbound, which is Brian Carl. So that stuff's all coming to fruition as well. So
right, it's like people want to say there's no new. I don't think people say that much anymore. Within the last year, people have kind of stopped saying rock is dead, unless you're Gene Simmons. They've stopped saying the rock is dead thing. They've stopped saying that there's no more good music because people are out there finding it and presenting it to them. Just instead of them having to go search for it, here's another one I found. Here's another one I found. And there is so much, especially in Europe, and now America's starting to, bam, get its shit together. And so there's so much music out there, good music.
I think Gene's off that thing now. I mean,
I think he's stopped.
Did you see that the Kiss cruise is now 2 weeks? So they're doing back to back with different bands, which is killer.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean,
he found a way to make more money.
Yeah, exactly. So that's inspiring. And I had affiliation with Kiss from way back. I was affiliated with this guy Arthur McKenzie, who helped them with the reunion tour. So I kind of saw that come to fruition. So I think Gene sometimes says things that he shouldn't say.
And he does. And it's like, and then he backtracks, and then he's like, he's all about, and he's got it to where, no matter what he says, people pay attention. They're like, hey, did you hear it? So his name's always out there. It doesn't matter if he's saying rock sucks. His name will be out there.
Yeah.
And, he does that. He's a marketing genius.
Yeah.
He's just an absolute marketing genius. He knows how to keep something alive, knows how to make money at it. And just, Kiss has not survived this long without being a marketing genius, and he's the driving force behind the band.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So,
it's interesting. This is supposedly the last tour, but it looks like it's going to go on for a long time. But there's
going for a long time.
The cruises, I guess, that'll probably never end.
That'll never end. And from what I heard, whether this is true or not, is I heard that there will be. They're gonna the Kiss name will carry on after they're done and have like young kids now doing it, and then maybe the young kids releasing new music. I don't know if that's a part of it, but the young kid, like 20-year-olds playing this, hooking some kid up with a fucking massive stage and a built-in fucking audience. I mean, and just going after it. That's what I hear. That's the rumblings. And you know what? That's genius.
Yeah, totally. I think that's killer. That's
and Coverdale's doing the same thing. He's grooming he's grooming his next. He's grooming a kid to take over the reins and keep Whitesnake going when he can't, and he realizes he can't do it anymore.
Well, I mean, Foreigner kind of started that whole kind of thing.
Exactly. Kelly Hansen Jesus.
Oh yeah, he's amazing. Amazing.
He's one of them vocalists that never got his due, never was ever mentioned, but he was just an absolute powerhouse of a vocal. And still now people think, they don't know Kelly's with Foreigner. Well, people like us do, the rock community do. But it's like, my, not my boss, but my boss's 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 boss. He went to a show, and I got him on Facebook, and I'm like, dude, wait till you hear Kelly Hansen. He's so good. And he's basically like, who? And I said, this guy that's singing, and he's like, wait a minute, so ain't singing for him anymore? No, he's not. Lou Graham's not there.
Yeah.
Kelly Hansen. He messaged me after, and he's like, oh my God, was that kid phenomenal?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Kelly is just. Phew.
I mean, Hurricane's incredible. I saw him, believe it or not, open for Jeff Tate's Queensryche about 10 years ago. That was interesting. They had Sarso's brother on guitar, and Carlos Cavazza's brother on bass, and they just killed it. But that was a great.
Dude, that would be a cool lineup.
Yeah,
man.
But one thing I did mention, actually, I mentioned a bunch of members, but Dave Chili Marino, he's a full-time member of Westbound as well, and he's currently in Puddle of Mud. So
right,
yeah,
that's kind of a diverse kind of thing there.
Yeah,
which y'all have that. I mean, you're associated with project, and they're not all identical. You get to release different sides of you, I guess,
sure,
through different bands, and I think I think it's a great thing. You get more projects from people instead of being locked into being, we're Westbound, we play this way, and this is all you're ever going to do. No, you guys, Chaz does his thing, you do your thing, everybody, and you get different sides of you, and I think I love it as a fan. I love it.
I mean, it definitely matures you as a musician. I mean, you got Chaz, who's with Resurrection Kings, where you're talking about his Dio connection. I mean, Vinny Appice is a drummer for that. So, I mean, they developed their relationship the first time that he met Vinny with Dio down at that show he was talking about. The footage of that concert is amazing. I'll have to send it to you because there's one clip of them doing, I know it's the atypical Led Zeppelin song, but doing Stairway to Heaven. But when they kick into the end of that, it is incredible. And they cut to the audience, which is like, you've seen Rock in Rio and stuff like that. Some of those concerts just like that. It's like 100,000 people in that audience, and Chaz is just hitting that note right on. Chills.
Dude. See, I heard, I listened to Rachel's Rock Refuge on 97 Underground.
Oh, yeah.
And one day she playing a song, I just playing a song. She didn't say who it was yet. And I'm like, oh my God. And if I hear a song, I'll write it down. I'll write it down because, I want to, and I'm hearing this song. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm paying more attention to, okay, who's she going to say it is? So she said Resurrection Kings. And I'm like, man, that dude's voice was amazing. And I'm like, and I had already known Westbound. I know Tango Down. So, and I didn't click that it was Chaz. But I'm like, okay, Resurrection Kings. I got to look these guys up. So I did. I'm like, man, I got to get one of these guys on the show one day, man. I got to dive into I got to figure these guys out because I like them. So I'm looking them up, and I'm like, fucking Chaz West. I'm like, go figure. I mean, that dude I'm like, I love him. And then I'm like, Vinny's, and this is a great band. First song.
Yeah, funny story. I won't be too long-winded because I don't know how much more time we have. But last summer when I was doing the Rockin' Pod thing with Steel City, we had a show the last day, which was down on the main drag there, down on Broadway. And so we're getting ready to go. And I had gone to the venue because I'd set up the gig. So I went over there in my sweatpants and stuff like that. And then I had to run back and change. And sound check had gone a lot longer. So I run up to the room, get changed. Tracy's like, come on, let's go. And and she's talking to Vinny Appice and Carmine a piece. And first thing Vinny says to me, he's like, hey, you play with Chaz? I said, oh yeah, you play with Chaz too. We just started joking and, talking about, road stories and stuff. And, they both have such an admiration for him, and, and I do obviously as well. We're great friends and great colleagues, and we love playing together. So it's to see those guys, how they respect him, it's
pretty cool. It is really cool. He deserves it.
Yeah, exactly.
He really deserves it. Well, is there anything else you want to say? Anything else? Any info you want to get out there? Let people know about tour dates, whatever, whatnot, happenings going on with Westbound. Tell me.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, our main focus here, obviously, is the benefit on the 25th of this month, which is going to be killer. I'm so excited, to be in your neck of the woods. I am
very happy.
We're getting there a couple days early. We're going to do some rehearsals and a warm-up gig. But we'll keep the name of that under wraps for now. But then, we're going to officially kick off our East Coast tour at your place. And then we'll make our way back on the tour bus to back east. And then after that, we've got some more plans down south too, which we're going to go, I think from the Boston area, we're going to be playing down in Florida. So, and it just keeps expanding. So we'll be hitting the Midwest soon. We've got some opportunities in Nashville. Everything's kind of really flowing in, like you said. things are starting to happen musically. I think at the first when it first started to happen, venues were still kind of reluctant because a lot of them had to cancel shows. A lot of them lost money. But now the writing's on the wall where people are going out regardless. They're just so excited. And I think they really appreciate live music now, where before everybody kind of took it for granted. Oh, I can listen to it on Spotify.
Right.
Next time,
Right. It's a Tuesday. I'll catch them next time. And
yeah.
And I know we got a lot of people. We've been hitting this one. I mean, I've been hitting this one because the first one I learned, and this is like I guess you could say a learning experience. Both of these have been, I'm putting nobody's going to be out money but me, and so I'm learning how to. I've been around Brad and he's taught me a lot, and I've been around a couple other people and they've taught me a lot, but Brad has taught me a lot. And just watching him and seeing how he handles people and how, what he does, how he is, how he cares. And so that kind of inspired me to where I wanted to. And I figured, and I kept dragging my feet. And then, when I thought, let's do the benefit, both of these have been kind of a learning experience. And then I'm going, okay. And then I got another gig going on with another guy down here in September. And then I'm like, I want to do another one in December, kind of a give back. It's going to be like where I do like a give back or a charity kind of thing, like a Rock for Tots is going to be December. That's what it's going to be. And then, then do another ticketed gig with, maybe break even or whatever.
Sure.
But I'm trying to train myself to lose money so that I'm not too bummed out when it always happens.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And you got to train yourself to lose. You're not going to get in this to make money. So
yeah, it's the same thing with me. I mean, it's a passion. I mean, we made a record, but I mean, there's a lot of sweat equity that goes into that, and there's a lot of travel that's taken care of on my own dime, and money I get reimbursed, some that I don't, and sometimes I do lose time that I could have had to do other things. But it's a passion for you, it's a passion for me. That's why we live it and we love it. Brad, big inspiration. I was doing shows. I mean, John Kivel is always at the New England Rock Fest. I mean, those guys are truly dedicated to the industry, just as you. So I mean, every self for being involved with you guys.
A buddy of mine, Scott Schatt, which is Brad's stage manager. He asked me one day, when he come down here for the first thing I did, he's like, let me ask you something. He goes, are you in this to, and he just said it just like this. He goes, are you in this to make money or are you going to lose money?
Yeah.
And so I was like confused on what I should say. And I just looked at him. I was like, I'm in this to lose money, I guess, because I don't foresee myself making any money. And if I do, whatever. And he goes, exact good answer. He goes, if you're in this to make money, your heart's not in it. And you're gonna get let down. And
honestly, it's anything that you do, whether you're opening a store, a music store, or you got a hardware store. It's the same deal.
It's the same deal.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
this is just music.
Yeah, exactly.
The different branch of it.
It's a little harder than it used to be. I mean, when all the icons and stuff like that from the 80s, I mean, there was a lot more money going around, a lot of, DIY stuff as opposed to what's back then. But I think the grassroots approach that you have and Brad and John Kivel and everybody else that are trying to do it, it's helping the whole industry in whole. It's making people appreciate it.
Right. And you got it, and it's like my area doesn't get, you get the bands that are in Baltimore and they tend to just stay in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to bring them out. The bands here in Charleston, they don't get to go anywhere. I got bands in North Carolina that would love to come down here and play, but they just can't get in there. And they're like, venues won't take a chance on it. So I said, you know what? I can do my own shows where it's my dime. I don't have to worry about a venue saying, okay, we're going to give you $600, but we don't want this one. We want that one. You better do this way or that way. No, this is my dime. I go to the venue and say, hey, can you host it? Okay. And I'm I'm not asking you for money. Then I can bring these bands down here, and then they get a little bit of exposure, and they get paid. So maybe one or two people goes back to their friends and says, "Hey, I heard this band." Boom, and then the next time I bring them in, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can grow out of town and include your locals. I will always include a local in whatever I do if they want to do it. But you've got to expand it. You can't just stay stagnant in one area, and you've got to be willing to lose your ass to make people happy. I figured, I'm buying very expensive concert tickets.
Yeah, that's true.
To my own party.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just got to look at it like that. It's like, hey, big deal. And my wife's like, today, she's like, well, how do you plan on paying for the next one? And I'm like, well, I'm going to work 12 hours and I got 5 months and, I'll pay for it. We're good.
Yeah.
She's like, okay. She's not going to argue. She goes, I know you love what you're doing and, you don't care. You're just having fun. And, as long as it don't affect the house or anything like that, then how can you not do? You're in the same boat. You just like you said, you spend your money to make nothing and just make people happy.
Well, I mean, I'm at the point now where we are, the investment that I've made over the years is definitely, making something, but I'm willing to invest in my passion because I know what's going to make me happy and satisfied with my life rather than have I just said, you know what, I'm not going to take this chance. I'm just going to, sit home and, practice and do stuff online and get bass lessons or, just be an IT guy. I know I'm satisfied. So, I'm willing to dive in feet first and make it happen. And so far it's benefiting me. So, and I think with any kind of passion, if you're passionate enough about it, eventually it will pay off. And, financially, but it pays off emotionally immediately.
Right in the soul.
Yeah, exactly. Seriously.
It gets your soul. That's the best payment ever.
Yeah,
really.
Exactly.
When you look around, you're on stage. I'm not on stage, but if I'm looking around at a show I put on, or even when I'm at Brad's shows and I'm part of that, and you look around and you see people's faces and they're having such a great time, and they come up to you and they're like, "This is great," and and you from the stage watching people just have a great time, sing your songs, and it just it gets you. It gets you. And even if you're a fan, it got nothing to do with anything. And you stand there and you just look around. And I do it at every show I go to. I stand there and I might be in the third row or something, but I'll look at it back of me and just look at that sea of humans that are just connected as one, enjoying the hell out of themselves, feeding their soul, and just, I sit there and I get chills. I have chills thinking about it right now. It's the best feeling in the world is when your soul is just complete.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%.
Yeah. All right, so we will see you down here next Saturday, baby.
A week from there, and I think we're flying in there a little bit early to Savannah, so we'll be pretty close to you for a few extra days there.
Nice. Yeah. Westbound, 8 Ball, Stone Whiskey, Mason Jar Music, and Bootleg Band. It's going to be a great time. And cool. You guys, I just can't wait for this. I can't wait to see Westbound.
Good enough, honestly, Mike. You're a great person, and we're looking forward to being there.
Hell yeah. Let's do this. Let's help Rodney out, man.
Yeah,
raise some money. I got some of the best bands here to help do it.
Cool. Great. All right,
cool.
Brother.
All right. Tell Tracy I said hey, and you have a great night.
Love too.
See you in a week.
Take care. See you then. Bye.
Later, brother.
Later. Be safe.
You too. All right. We're Jason's out, and I figure I'm gonna leave you with a song from Westbound. It's a one of my favorites. It's a good song. I'm not gonna give you a Traveler because that's a long song. It's like 6 minutes long, and nobody wants. I've already stayed on here an hour and a half, which I know you guys love me enough where you just hang out for an hour and a half. Come on. It's Thursday night. What the fuck else are you going to do? Hang out with me for an hour and a half. I give you people like Jason, people like Chaz, and me. Fuck me. Get them guys. Great conversationalists, great guys. I love them to death. They're going to be here Saturday. If you're in the area, or even if you're not in the area, if you're in Canada, get your passport now and get down here for next Saturday's show. Going to be a great show. So we'll leave you with Westbound with one of their second single. Pretty sure their second single, Dance of Life. It's a great tune. Gives you an idea of exactly who these guys are. And I love them. I'm sorry. But check them out. Go get their Volume 1. Only album they have out. They're working on Volume 2. But go get Volume 1. Loaded with some great stuff. Chaz's voice, the band. Awesome. All right. I will see you soon. I don't have anything scheduled for next week because of the benefit. And I want to focus everything on the benefit next weekend. But I will be posting about who I got coming up after that. Until then, stay positive in a negative world and keep rocking. Here's Westbound, Dance of Life. Display